All right, guys, I've got a problem. I cannot walk past a fruit tree for sale and not be interested. I went up to Tractor Supply today to grab some feed for the chickens and the sheep. And as I was walking out, they had peach trees and apricot trees and pear trees. And I don't have a pear out here yet, and I only have 2 peach trees. So now I should have 3 peach trees and a pear tree. Those are the winter peas. They're coming in pretty good. They were coming in a lot better, and then we ended up with 3 weeks of no rain, so. But they're looking good again. But out here you can see these are the most recent 3 trees I planted. And unfortunately, right after I planted them, the Japanese beetles tore them up. I don't really know where I'm gonna put these trees right now. I drove out here into the pasture without a plan. I kind of forgot that these 3 trees were out here, so. I think we'll put one right here because I had, I think it was a plum tree that, it was a, what do you call that? Where you, it's like a stick with a root, maybe. They never, some of them ended up growing okay, but really all those that I bought and put in, it was one of the videos I did. I put them in like in the spring, early spring. I probably lost about 1/3 of the trees that we put in there. And then the other 2/3, they're doing okay. They're not doing great. They've probably doubled in size, and most of them got at least a couple leaves on. But for what I paid for those, I should have just done what I'm doing now, and that's just Lowe's and Tractor Supply. The problem is, Lowe's and Tractor Supply aren't gonna have some fancy trees like them Russian pomegranates, so I'm hoping those 2 do okay. But I'll probably get back on one of the websites I ordered from and try and order like a 3-foot tree instead of the 1 to 2 foot trees, because a 1 to 2 foot tree is really just a stick with roots. So let's find a place to put these 2 new trees without running over our winter peas, because I ran them plumb through the length of the pasture. But there's a spot where there's fewer of them. I don't mind running them over. The only thing we gotta watch out for is a random T-post out here. I pulled up a bunch of temporary fence, and I couldn't get the T-post out by hand. So I was like, I'll come back and get those with the tractor later. That was a couple weeks ago. So here's one of those trees that we put in that group. So you can see Japanese beetles got to it pretty good. There's really nothing wrong with it. It's out here, it's alive, it's getting water, but it's just not really doing much. You got to take into account the shock of being uprooted and moved, but I just thought they'd do a little bit better this year than what they did. So this is one of the trees we put in that round, and it's no longer with us. So we're gonna get this cage out of here. It's just a good spot. Might as well put another one back here. So we'll get that cage out of the way, and then I'll dig us a little hole right there. And we'll get one of these in the ground. Don't be halfway there. We just have to figure out where to put the other one. All right, pear or peach. I think we got another peach. I think our other two trees right here are different variants of peach. So I think we're gonna do a pear here and then move this peach somewhere on the other side of the pasture or the other side of the farm. The idea with that is to try and keep them split up a little bit, just in case something comes in that wants to attack peach trees. Some kind of bug, beetle, whatever it might be. I don't know of any specific ones. That way all of our peach trees aren't right next to each other. Yeah, we need to go a little deeper. Do a little cofferdam around this old girl, and that'll help keep the water in a little ring. And then what we'll eventually do is bring, we got some mulch. We'll bring mulch out here. These cofferdams will help hold the water in a little bit longer before it just runs off. 'Cause everything out here is clay. And we're working on building up our soil. We're not there yet. We won't be there for a while, so. You see we have a little elevated mound around the tree, and that'll just, like I said, that'll help retain water and kind of force the water. Instead of just whatever rain lands here is what it has a chance to consume before it runs off, just kind of blocks in a little bit of water and lets it soak in before it runs off. So, and like I said, we'll get some mulch and we'll put some mulch down around this whole thing, and that'll help retain a lot of moisture in this area. So let's move on to the next tree. Where do you guys think is the best spot for this next one? Lay the land real quick. We got the new chicken coop, which is a video coming. It's still in the works, the chicken coop and the video. Barn's over there, house will be in this vicinity, and then eventually probably a pond over there. And we got trees lining that whole perimeter, the whole edge of the woods there. And then this is where our two peaches are, and that might be a peach. Let's see. Yeah, Georgia peach. Actually, what I want to do is try and root these, clip these off and root them later this year. Yes, we got peach there. One of these two is a peach. So I'm thinking that this tree, I think we should take it over there where that chicken tractor is and find, actually I know there's a hole. I put in some muscadine vines over there, and then I found them growing super wild and thick. Well, pretty much all in these woods. I've been killing them not knowing what they were because I was pulling them out of trees when there were no leaves on them. Turns out I cut a bunch of them that were like the size of my wrist. But anyway, there's still a bunch more out there. They're growing wild everywhere. But anyway, I transplanted those muscadine grapevines closer to the other ones, and I'm gonna try and train them up. But because of that, I've got 2 empty spots over there by those chicken tractors. So I think that's where we're gonna go plug this tree in. So you can see through here, I did have winter peas growing all the way through here. But here's a bare spot where, first off, the sheep, the sheep just kind of go where they want. The electric fence isn't really keeping them contained because I've got a Brave U who just goes through it. And I could run another rope and make it taller so they can't jump it, and make them a little bit closer so they've got to come in better contact before they can get through. But at the same time, I don't really care because the perimeter of the property is fenced in and they're not getting out of that. When I first got them here, I had them trained at one point with just one wire, and they were staying inside the one wire. I say trained because I had built a little corral for them at some point, and they learned that the rope is pain. Since then, I just think they don't care. So I went back to 2, and they're still kind of pushing through it. 3 would definitely keep them in because they don't want to touch the rope. But by the time they do touch the rope, their heads are through it. So when they get bit, they just push. Which is why you need to put one, they say put it at grazing height and put it at traveling height. But apparently you also need to put it at we want out of this pasture height. Because the grass is, well, technically if you look over there, the grass is greener on that side of the fence. But there's plenty to eat in here. I got too busy flapping my gums talking to you guys, and I completely forgot to water that other tree. I have to head back out there and do that. So this is where I had one muscadine grapevine, the one that I transplanted or replanted over there. But then I forgot, this is where the other one was, and if you look, that's a little too close. What do we have here? Red Delicious apple. So we're gonna push on back this way a bit. I think this is a good spot right here. You get one of those seat belt tabs where you just click it in the receiver for the seat belt. Keeps your alarm from going off when you don't want to wear your seat belt around the farm. Would never use something like that on public roads. It's very unsafe. So I just had a recurrence of an idea that I had when I actually planted those trees earlier this spring, and I totally forgot about it. But I want to do this series of videos going over what a lot of us might consider to be just basic skills, but might also not be well passed on. You know, a lot of people don't have the same experiences as others. There's tons of stuff I don't know. If you want to start talking about computers, you'll probably look at me like I'm a complete idiot when it comes to computers and a lot of technology stuff like that. So I'm not talking ill on anybody or talking down on them, but I want to do a series of videos on skills that a lot of what I learned, like, you know, kind of growing up on some property, growing up with animals, growing up as a Boy Scout, Cub Scout, Boy Scout. I don't think a lot of that stuff is passed on very well. For example, how to use a shovel. Seems basic probably to a lot of people. If you're tuning into this channel, probably most of you, that's a generalization. A lot of people know how to use a shovel. There are plenty of people in the world that have no idea how to use a shovel. And then there's ways to use a shovel that I'm not even familiar with. For example, cruising down the road in Afghanistan. I see these two guys and they have a shovel and they have a rope tied to it in the middle. One guy is standing on the shovel and the other guy is pulling it, and what they're doing is making rows for their crops in like the most manual, second to most manual way possible without using their hands. I'm not going to show you how to do that, but I will show you how to dig a hole, how to use leverage, stuff like that. So I think it'd be kind of useful and cool, and I know I would enjoy it, just to figure out random stuff that I kind of take stuff that I just kind of neglect for knowing. Because again, I grew up, you know, on property. I was very familiar and intimate with the shovel in a completely platonic way at a very young age. And there might be some young man or some young woman out there who just wishes somebody would teach them how to use a shovel. So if you guys have any ideas of something that might seem like a basic skill, drop it down in the comments. I'll look through them, and maybe you'll see it pop up on this channel in the next couple months. But I know off the top, I want to do how to use a shovel, how to build a fire without gasoline, maybe lashing. I've always enjoyed lashing, and I might even do one on sewing. Now it's going to be some real basic level sewing, because I'm no seamster. I think that's what a male seamstress is, a seamster. I'm no seamster, but I've sewn some stuff. But that's gonna wrap up today's video. Hit the thumbs up. Leave me a comment below if there's a skill you want to see featured on this channel. And if I don't know it, I'm just gonna act like I didn't read it. But if I do know how to do it, I'll consider it. I will see you all later. Have a good one.